It's already in place in more than half the states. The federal government already has a strict scrutiny standard. The reality is what we're doing here is really not all that remarkable. I do understand that it's kind of taken on a life of its own, but that's just the way things go. So it's kind of overwhelming, but I'm glad to have it done.
All right, welcome in the arena competitors. Ladies first, trial attorney for the law firm O'Brien and Ryan in Philadelphia, and one we seek to keep us on the even keel here on many issues. Let's welcome back Heather Hansen, and he is the GOP communications strategist for the Victory Group, where they take on campaigns for more than just politics, but for corporate clients as well. Let's welcome in Adam Goodman. I thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, as we always do here, Heather, it is ladies first. Let's get to this thing in Indiana first of all, because from a legal standpoint, Heather, because I got to throw this to you first legally, we have had a lawyer on the show last hour, one who said it is absolutely skirting the anti-discrimination laws, another who says the way it's written, no, wait a minute, it's perfectly fine, it is not illegal in any sense. How do you read this, Heather?
It's not illegal, Ed. What it ultimately comes down to is the interpretation. You know, judges interpret laws. This law or laws like it have been used in ways to defend discrimination cases over the 20 years that they've been in place, and they have never been successfully used. No one has ever won a discrimination case by citing the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. So while the law, the way that it's written, has been objected to and argued about on either sides, ultimately what would really matter is how judges and juries interpreted it.
Adam, I guess part of what a lot of people are talking about is, ooh, gee, look, the left is now going after Mike Pence because maybe he wants to run for president in 2016 because a law like this has been on the books in almost 20 states already.
It has. I think, Ed, if you want to really distill it to its simplest manifestation, it's a failure to communicate. I think when this story came out of the box, reflecting law has been on the books in the federal books for over 20 years, signed into law by Bill Clinton. I think, frankly, the governor should have stepped right up and said, I'm going to make sure that whatever the final manifestation of this law is, that it will not be discriminated against anybody, not here in the state of Indiana. I think that was the thing he had to say. He basically did not say that right up front, and I think that caused a bit of a firestorm unnecessarily. As Heather said, it's about interpretation, and it's also about precedent, given we haven't seen any case of its kind on the books, anti-discrimination case that took root from this law anywhere in the country for the last 2 decades.
So let's look at that from the interpretation. Oh, I'm sorry, Heather, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I didn't say anything.
I thought you did. All of a sudden, my ears were ringing. I'm sorry about that. That's what happens. You spend too much time with people in your ears. I thought Heather was saying something. So, but let's get down to this, and I want your opinion on both of this. Adam, you first. Should somebody be able to own a private business and be able to say to anyone who comes in the door for whatever reason they want, I refuse you service?
I think that for most people, Ed, frankly, that offends social mores. It offends a lot of sensibilities beyond that. But I guess ultimately that's the right of that private business owner. I would hope that society would pass judgment by not doing business with that individual or that entity if they felt that was prejudicial and not right.
Isn't that the big thing, though, there? Because if you're going to do something like that, you take it on yourself that you may not have the business and you're going to go out of business soon enough. I mean, that's punishment on yourself if you're foolish enough to do that. But the right is still there.
Yeah, the right to be obnoxious, the right to do things that people will judge harshly, I guess is your right within certain limits. But it's unfortunate that this particular law, which was supposed to be about religious freedom, has now been translated into intolerance, and it's just not that.
Heather, your last word on this, 45 seconds before we take a break and come back, and it comes back once again to that idea of, I own a shoe business. You walk in. I say, I'm refusing to service you for whatever reason.
It really depends on the reason, Ed. You know, you can't do that if you are talking about someone of a different race, of a different religion, someone who is disabled, because you can't discriminate against them. And there is an argument to be made that people of homosexuals, people transgender, all of those different entities should be covered as well. I think there is a way to have liberty and justice for all. And some of these cases have to go to the courts to weigh someone's religious beliefs and their First Amendment rights against someone's right not to be discriminated against.
And there need to be protected groups, though. Isn't that really what we're saying here, Heather? It's a right thing to do.
Yes, for sure.
That's all
right.
part of the problem. All right, we have one other side of this that I want to hit on. I want to talk about Tim Cook in a moment, plus we got a lot more to do. So if you would, please stand by. Tim Cook is interesting in some of the comments that he has made about this. Plus, we've got to talk about the comments of one Harry Reid, who basically decided to say, I lied. I know I lied. But it's a good thing. The Arena continues. The Arena returns. Trial attorney for the law firm O'Brien and Ryan of Philadelphia, Heather Hansen. Communication strategist for the Victory Group, Adam Goodman. All right, Adam, this one comes to you here first because let's continue what we were talking about last hour. A little bit about this Indiana law. Tim Cook from Apple has come out and he has slammed away at this, but there are people right now saying, excuse me, Mr. Cook, but your company, Apple, you sell products in Iran. You also use products from companies such as North Korea, Iran, other places. I don't have the list, the full list in front of me, but it is a long list saying you do business with these countries that subjugate women and that are involved in ridiculous human abuses at so many points. Is this a hypocritical, then, action from a guy like Adam Cook?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This is one of the reasons why CEOs don't always make great public officials in the public arena. I mean, I think he had a sense of outrage as a person when he first heard the first reports coming out of Indiana and more recently out of Arkansas. But when you look in your own closet, sometimes you don't like what others see. And what they see here is countries that Apple's been doing business with that have been incredibly discriminatory, especially against homosexuals, including jailings, chemical castrations, and death, even ISIS-like beheadings. So you might say they should have done a little bit more research on themselves before they started to speak out on others.
But is he hypocritical in your estimation?
I think it looks hypocritical.
How about it?
In hindsight, it looks hypocritical, but this is again an example of someone that's just not used to being in the public arena in this fashion. Selling ideas as opposed to selling iPhones.
You got to admit, Heather, it really is, and we're not taking sides here on the debate going on in Indiana, but it is a pretty good observation to make if you're going to talk about somebody being critical.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with Adam. Anytime that you're going to decide to take the stage and speak out against something, you should be sure that there is nothing in your past that people can then counter with. And to take such a strong position and to be so vocal about it and so accusatory about a law that really on its face is not as terrible as people want to make it out to be, and then have so much in your past that you can be just as accused for, is really not good business. And I do think it's hypocritical.
Let's talk about something else that comes up from somebody's past. Harry Reid, the outgoing senator from Nevada, says he has no regrets about in 2012 making claims that then presidential candidate Mitt Romney paid no taxes for 10 years. He admits that he lied. He said, wait a minute, they can call it whatever they want, but hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Mitt Romney did not win. Come on, Heather. I mean, here we are at a point in our life where we're looking for honest politicians. He comes out and basically said, yeah, I lied and I'm happy about it. This is what is wrong with this American political society.
No doubt about it. And you know what's going to happen, Ed? Now that he's on his way out, I think we're going to see more and more from Senator Reid of just this type of behavior, of blowing off things that he's done in the past, of maybe less appropriate behavior going forward. You know, he has nothing to lose at this point. He's already sort of crowned his incoming successor. And I think that you're going to see a lot more insight into what he did during his time there and to the type of man that he is.
Adam, how much of a repercussion does this have then on people who are currently serving in Washington? Or wait a minute, it's inside the Beltway. We already know all politicians lie. Maybe it does nothing at all.
That's funny. Here's the bottom line. In 2014, America went to the polls and it voted for a lot of people that you might say were fresh faces. Kind of a break with the past, looking for something that they weren't finding inside the Beltway, as you're referring to it. The problem with Harry Reid is this. He represents everything that people come to dislike and feel distressed about in Washington. He's an overly partisan, overly pushy, overly prickly, everything by the process person who slowed everything down. And by the way, he's not alone. But because he isn't read these days as fresh and genuine and truthful, I think it has ramifications downstream on other leaders. For instance, Nancy Pelosi is already out there talking about handpicking her successor on the Democratic side. And I also happen to think, and I hope this doesn't come off as super partisan, maybe it is, I think Hillary Clinton is affected by this too, because she's got to show something that is not related to being an icon from the past, but an apostle and a leader for the future. And I think that's where Harry Reid connects to all of these things.
45 seconds left. One quick thing and a quick comment from both of you. First, Adam, Carly Fiorina says she may run, but her quote, "I think if Hillary Clinton faces a woman opponent, she'll get a hitch in her swing." What do you think?
I think all of America would pay to see that match. I think she's trying to position herself. She's trying to position herself, obviously, to be taken seriously and to occupy her own unique space in the field. And we'll see how it goes.
You got to admit, Heather, it would be fun to see the two of them go back and forth. But is she right? Would it really make any difference?
You know, I do think it makes a difference. I think that she is able to say some things that men may be less likely to say, and she can say them in such a way that it doesn't come across as offensive as it might if a man said it. I do think that she will be helpful on the stump to sort of put a hitch in her swing.
As a former baseball player, I even just cringe even thinking about that. But then again, golfers will say the same thing too. She can come out and say she'll get the yips. That would be even worse. Heather and Adam, please stand by. We're going to take a break. Come back on the other side. The man who is going to take over a fake newscast is being assailed for what he said. Now he fires back. That and much more when the arena continues. Once more into the arena breach, if you will. Trial attorney for the law firm O'Brien and Ryan in Philadelphia, Heather Hansen. Communications strategist for the Victory Group, Adam Goodman. Lady, gentlemen, here we go. Trevor Noah is the new host of the Comedy Central show, The Daily Show. Everybody comes out, great idea. Oh, wait, but now he's got some tweets that had some interesting jokes, supposedly, about Jews and other people. The slamming comes down. He says, wait a minute, that was in the past. Leave me alone, Comedy Central. Let's stop here. Heather, is this just really this massive ado about nothing? This is the host of a fake news show that is, in essence, a comedy show, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, his tweets were offensive, but he is a comedian, and comedians make offense and take offense. I mean, that's what they do. And he jokes about himself, he's biracial, he jokes about those issues. What I do find fascinating is the fact that Jeb Walker had to fire one of his hires for this campaign because of old tweets. Scott Walker did the same. You know, it just goes to show that those things that you put out there into the electronic and technical universe live with you forever. And in some cases, they can cause you to lose a job. Here, I don't think that will be the case, but he's cutting it close.
Well, but it's fair to say, too, and I think, Adam, what we have to point out is Heather's point's well taken. Other people get fired, but this is still a professional comedian. And I don't know about you, but for me, look, make fun of Irish people, make fun of Catholics, make fun of Jews. Look, it's all about just everybody just take a break, okay? This is a phony show that's supposed to be comedy.
I agree with that, but, you know, if he were to go out today and try Trevor Noah, and try to recruit people for Noah's Ark, I think he'd be relatively by himself, given the firestorm that's erupted over the last couple of days. You might say the audition, the first show, didn't go quite as planned. I think what he has to do, in my opinion, and I'm not a comic, I think he needs better material. Doesn't mean he lays off the Jews or whatever. I just think his jokes weren't all that funny, frankly.
Well, that's what even he was saying. Look, these are old jokes, and I'm learning as a comic. And you're right. They weren't that funny. And let's put it this way. If he's not funny on The Daily Show, they don't care how much information he gets in there because Comedy Central wants to make the buck. And if you're not funny, he's going to be out the door very fast. All right, issue number 2 here. This happens in Denison, Texas. A woman walks into a store. She's got her little girl there, a 3-year-old, and the little girl's a tomboy. She wants to dress up in boys' clothes. Well, she gets the girl what she wants. The sales clerk assails her. She says, you're just doing the wrong thing here. It's disgusting. And all of a sudden there's an uproar because the woman dresses the child as she wants to. Adam, come on. Now we're talking about people saying that this is child abuse. This is outrageously over the edge, is it not?
What happened to parental prerogative? I mean, for heaven's sake, this is blown way out of proportion. We're talking about fashion. We're talking about a young child. And there isn't any great meaning to be read into any of this other than people have different tastes in fashion. That's the way they wanted to go. They should feel free in a country that's built on freedom to do just that.
So shouldn't we in some ways just say, mind your own business?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, Heather, I throw this to you on this one because they had to take the kid. The poor kid was crying then after the store manager got after the mother. They took the kid to JCPenney's, which they must have found one of the last 3 ones available in the United States at this point. And they got the kid what she wanted. But they're not abusing a child. That's why this child abuse, you're just making the kid happy, though, aren't you?
It's absolutely crazy. And you're right. It's time to say, mind your own business. You know, parenting is hard enough these days with all the different advice that people get and the different ways that people parent. As long as there's no true abuse going, physical harm going on, then people really do need to mind their own business and let parents do what they do best.
Well, here's the one thing, because the business owner put it up on Facebook saying this is child abuse from the mother. A TV station went by the store to get some sort of a reaction. The store was not open during its usual business hours, and already people are firing back at this person because, really, mind your own business. And the kid seemed very happy. All right, last thing here. This comes down to legal, so Heather, you get this one first. A teen volleyball player in Virginia, 16 years old. She wanted to go to play for a club volleyball team. The coach then benched her. She wanted to go to another team in the league. The coach said, we can't do that. It's not the league rules. The parents say, that's it. They go right and they file a lawsuit. But there's two sides of this. People saying, well, the coach might have lied to the girl and maybe the rules are wrong. But the parents still are trying to take care of an athletic competition based on the law. And I can't tell you how many times I see that when parents get upset about their kids not getting enough playing time. It's a ridiculous use of the court system.
It absolutely is. And you will see almost every court throws this type of case out. If they were to take these types of cases, they would forever be adjudicating cases between coaches and students, more likely cases between coaches and parents. You know, the courts don't even want to step into schools when it comes to First Amendment issues, which we saw earlier this week in the Supreme Court. So this is definitely a case that I anticipate will be thrown out of court right quick.
But don't we have to make sure, though, that indeed the coach, there's no ulterior motives here, and maybe said, yeah, she's a good player, come on the team, and then for some odd reason he or she, the coach, lied to the kid and the kid's not able to play? Don't we still have to be a little sensitive to that just in case, Heather?
There's usually administrative ways to do that, Ed. You know, you can go through the school system or you can go through the coaching system. And here it seems that they did have different regulatory checklists to go through to determine whether or not a child could be switched to a different league. You can't take these things to court. Every time that someone is hurt or feels wronged, suing is not the answer, and that's coming from a lawyer. Suing is not always the answer.
Adam, I think that's part of it, too, because how many times have we seen cases where people come out, they say the coach yelled at my kid and made my kid feel bad or benched my kid because they didn't play well? Hey, guess what? If you want to play lumberjack, you learn to handle your end of the log. I guess that's what happens in sports, right?
As a former soccer coach, I can tell you it's not an easy job to be coach and trying to please everybody. The biggest thing is to try to give everyone equal opportunity. What's going on here is that we now live in a society where these decisions have a lot of ramifications, including financial ramifications for the family, for the children involved, et cetera. So the pressure's on. Is it right? No. Is it the pure essence of sport? No. But it's a reflection, unfortunately, about where we are today.
Doesn't this also in many ways hurt the kid? I mean, because the kid then watches what goes on here. You don't get a good lesson to the kid.
One of the greatest moments I ever experienced as a coach was when the kid with the least amount of ability in a championship game with 4 minutes to go in a tie game scored the winning goal. That kind of answers all those questions, it seems, for about a couple of minutes. And then it goes right back, reverting back to kind of this pressure that everyone feels to perform on an athletic field and perform at an early age. It's unfortunate for all of us.
10 seconds. Heather, did you ever play sports?
I did. I played quite a few sports, and I wasn't terribly good at all of them, and I didn't get into all of them, and my parents never sued.
Look at that. And guess what? You turned out to be one heck of a person as well and a fine attorney. Look at that. I guess you didn't need to go to the law.
Thank you.
Heather Hansen, always a pleasure to see you again. Adam Goodman, thanks so much for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you again real soon.
Thanks, Adam.
Take care, everybody. Hey, there's still snow falling on the 1st of April. No joke. This is spring temps finally returning to the Midwest and the Northeast. Jessica Reyes brings what is hopefully good news then weather-wise to the rest of the nation.
Hi, I'm Jessica Reyes, and here's your weather from coast to coast. Unfortunately, we're kicking things off by the northwestern portion of the country, where we are dealing with some unsettled conditions, meaning lots of rain through there. Breezy and a lot cooler for the southwestern portion of the country, with mainly sunny skies into Las Vegas, even into parts of Phoenix, and partly sunny into Los Angeles. We are dealing with the threat of some severe weather that's pushing in for your Wednesday into parts of the Great Lakes, with temperatures reaching the lower 70s, so keeping a close eye on that. Also, on all this humidity and spotty showers and thunderstorms by the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of that, you'll feel it into northern portions of Florida. In Orlando, not so much, with mainly sunny skies. Then a high pressure continues to dominate into the northeastern portion of the country, bringing with it mainly sunny skies. And here are some of your daytime highs.
Going to call my friends in Maine, tell them you're still in trouble. Better weather means more chances to put the top down, leading us to the car coach and the insane jealousy I and others will experience as she frolics in the Big Apple and what is one of the biggest car shows in the world. She gets to have fun and we get to be part of it. Live from New York, next, right here on Midpoint.